One of the confusing things for a lot of families is understanding how long will a bag of feed last and what bag of feed should I get? And these are all really important questions, and we decided that it was worth our time to create a free feed need order calculator to help families identify how much feed they actually need to feed their particular flock. There's a lot of variables in the age of the flock and how many members there are. And then, of course, which method that you want to use feed, whether you're feeding it out dry, fermented, or sprouted. So let's get started and take a look at this calculator and see how it might be able to help you out. So it's very simple. You only have to enter in how many members are in your flock based on their ages. So this first one is about entering in the members that are less than 8 weeks old. So let's say I just spent a visit to Serenity Sprouts and I decided, you know what, I want to pick up 6 of their adorable little baby chicks. And oh, thankfully, they do have some starter pullets available too. So let me go ahead and get 10 of those 8-week-old starter pullets to get my flock really kind of started so I don't have to wait for the eggs as long. And back at home, well, I love my chickens, so I already have 20 chickens that are already laying eggs and gifting me every day and just absolutely love them. So now that we know who is in our flock, let's determine how much feed they need and what I'm going to feed them. So this is broken down for families that like to purchase feed for just 1 month, or maybe they like to save by purchasing it for 3 months. Or for some families, Serenity Sprouts is located a little ways away, and so they do purchase 5 months of feed at a time. So that way it reduces their long drive from families that are coming 8+ hours away to get to our feed. So when we're looking at this, we're seeing that chicks less than 8 weeks old, I recommend the Scratch and Pack starter feed. And so with that, we're going to need 1 bag to feed these new little cuties that I just picked up. Then we look at the starter pullets aged 8 to 18 weeks old. You have some more choices when they get to this age group. So do you want to feed them dry food? The advantage of feeding them the Scratch and Peck grower feed dry is going to be that you can have a gravity feeder, put the feed in, and just fill it when it gets low and not do anything else. So if you're short on time, but you still want to offer an organic food, that is kind of the way to go. However, for families that want to be more involved and their chickens end up being not just egg gifters, but they're also pets and they have such personality. So for those families that want to spend a little bit more time with their flock and also the downfall of dry feed being left out overnight is rodents. So what I love about the Serenity Sprouting Mix is that if you ferment it or sprout it, you're feeding a daily ration, and so they eat that and there's nothing left over, and so you don't have to worry about rodents near as often. So there's 2 ways that we're going to talk about with the Serenity Sprouting Mix, and that is fermenting it. Fermentation actually just takes 3 days, and all you're doing is you're keeping the seeds covered in water so that it can ferment. This results in removing the natural coating that protects the seed in nature so that the chickens can actually get all the nutrients out of that seed by simply soaking it. In addition, when you ferment, new vitamins are created, primarily vitamins B, like folic acid, riboflavin, niacin, and thiamine. So this is a great benefit. You get extra vitamins just by soaking in water for 3 days. How wonderful. So the next thing that you can do with the fermented feed is save money, because if you ferment a 50-pound bag of dry feed, it's going to yield you 100 pounds of food for your flock. Wonderful way to still feed stuff that you could actually see every ingredient with nothing added and get a good savings on it. That's actually why our preference is sprouting the Serenity Sprout Mix, because it doesn't take much effort at all. All you do is, instead of soaking it for 3 days, you soak it for 8 hours, and then you rinse and drain it twice a day for 3 to 5 days, and you end up with these brilliant sprouts, and it actually triples the yield. So a 50-pound bag will yield 150 pounds of food for your flock. Just wonderful stuff when all you do is add water, right? So for some families, if you're choosing that and you want 1 month, you can see here, because the 40-pound yield in the scratch and pack grower, it's going to stay the same. You're going to want 2 bags to feed this particular size of flock, where we have 10 members that are in this pullet age group. Then if you decide to use this for any sprout mix, regardless whether you're fermenting or sprouting, with this group of members, you would just need 1 bag. Now, a lot of families do like some diversity, and they like to have a variety for the flock. So what they do is they do both, right? So half dry, half of the sprouting mix to allow that balance, because sometimes life happens and we want to go on vacation, or we have a weekend, or we're going to have a pet sitter come in, or simply it was just a bad weather day and you didn't feel like sprouting or fermenting that day. So that's where the dry feed kind of comes in handy as kind of a backup. So if you decide to do that, then you select 2 of what you want for your flock. So in this scenario, probably 1 bag of scratch and pack grower and 1 bag of the Serenity sprouting mix. As we move on to the 18-week-olds, these are going to be the ones that are either very close to point of lay or are already laying for you. They need extra calcium. So for them, you have some choices. If you have a favorite of scratch and pack layer, which is very similar to their grower, or if you do like pellets, they do have a scratch and pack pellet that has grub protein in it, and then a Serenity sprouting mix you could use, or to use that same mix to sprout. And this basically just kind of shows how much you would need based on your decision if you're just picking one. And you can just notice how much savings there is if you decide to sprout. But if you don't have the time, that's okay. You can still feed your flock a very nutritious meal. You'll just need 7 bags or 6 bags to do it instead of the 1. Then as you go on to, if you want some variety, which I kind of recommend, it's kind of nice and handy that you get to choose which one you want to use and you have it at your disposal at all times. So in that scenario, you'd pick 2. So maybe you want, 4 bags of the pellets and you want to sprout the other, and so you just use 1 bag of that. But you choose 2 out of that category. And this is all for 1 month. And if you want it to last for 3 months, then that's this section. If you want to last for 5 months, then it's this selection. So a lot of our families that come and get chicks from us, usually they start their flock off with 6. So this would be a little bit more common in the cities where they restrict to only have 6 to 8 members within a flock. So if that's the case, we do have a special promo for being able to get your chicks, pick up your chicks, and then also pick up food that's going to last you for 5 months. We actually call it our Flock of 5 for 5 months feed promotion, and that allows you to get a scratch and pack bag, a starter feeder. We include free grit, by the way, anytime you purchase a starter feed from us, because it's so important to have that grit to help them digest. In addition, it would include 2 bags of the scratch and pack grower, and then it gives you some sprouting mix as well, so that you can use that both as grower and as they go into laying. The most important thing is when they become layers, if you are using sprouts, they need that extra calcium. So we provide free oyster shells with any layer feed that you choose to purchase. I hope this calculator helps you get off to a good start and allows you to predict how much feed you're going to use and how much you need to keep your flock as healthy as possible.